In my last video I said it would be fun if I filmed out here while it was raining, and now it's not only raining, but also there is a thunder and lightning storm happening, so if this is the last video I'm ever gonna film, I'm gonna film it with a beer. Also, obviously, there's going to be rain sounds throughout this video, which I personally love, but if you don't, I'm really sorry because it's the most beautiful sound ever. Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for June 30th through July 6th. This week I read 2 books and I listened to 2 books. And I'm so excited I'm filming during a thunderstorm. This is great. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm on vacation. I'm currently visiting my brother, which is why I have a weird filming location right now. And my last video I filmed out here was my mid-year wrap-up, and I thought it was really cool that it was like maybe going to rain, which of course meant it didn't rain. So I jumped at the chance to film outside while it's raining, because why not? I'm in a little structure. It should be fine. We're not getting wet. I have beer. I have books to talk about. It's going to be good. I also just realized there's a hole in my pants, but that's how all of my pants dye, so c'est la vie. The first book I finished this week was called Fid's Crusade. This book was sent to me because my friend Eric over at Break Even Books said I want to do a blog tour and a YouTube tour about this book, and I said sure, I will do whatever you want, because 1, you're a fellow Canadian, and 2, I will always take a free book and then talk about it. Why not? I knew nothing about this book going in besides it had an anti-hero type of storyline to it, and I went, that sounds great, send it to me. And when I first started the book, because of the title including the word Crusade, also that was some great thunder action, thank you weather. Because I had the word Crusade in the title, when I first started reading it, I thought I was like in the medieval ages, and as it was going on, I was like, oh, am I really gonna enjoy this? Like, I do like the medieval ages period. I have a friend who sells swords for a living, so obviously I thought that would be kind of cool. But it took me a couple pages until I realized, oh no, this is a superhero book. So Fid's Crusade is about this super villain called Dr. Fid. He also has a real life job, and he's been super villaining for about 20 years at this point. He's basically one of those people that was smart enough to like skip high school, go to college at an early age, was super intelligent, and ended up caring for his younger brother because their parents died tragically, and then something happened to his brother which made him turn into a supervillain. However, even though he's done some very terrible things in his life, he's actually an anti-hero because he wants good things to happen, and the whole reason he turned into a supervillain was because the heroes were doing a crappy-ass job. That's basically the synopsis I want to give you for it. It was really fun to read. I really enjoyed it. There were a ton of pop culture references, which I cackled at throughout the book, which is a good time to mention that if you're not following me on Instagram, anytime I read a book as an ebook on my phone, if something is hilarious to me or interesting to me, I will screen cap it and then put commentary on it. So if you watch my Instagram stories, you may have seen me be very vocal about how funny some of the lines in this book were. I will be doing a more in-depth video specifically about this book about a couple of weeks from now, so I'm going to leave it until then to talk more about it. The next book I read this week was Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. This is the second in the Royals series by her. The first one I read a couple of weeks ago in anticipation of this one because I liked the synopsis of this one so much that I had to go back and read the first book. The synopsis of this book is there is a girl from Texas who goes to a boarding school in Scotland and then falls in love with a princess. I have said before that I want this series to go on forever because I really like this author's writing. I think it's hilarious. I think there's some great pop culture references, which there definitely were in this book. I think I liked the first book slightly more than I liked this book. That being said, they're both very, very funny. They have great references. I, again, screen capped some references and sent them out into the Instagram universe. Hello, Thunder. Thor just really wants to be in this video, which I'm okay with. I'm not going to sit here and say I didn't like this book because I did. I just didn't think I liked it as much as the first book, mostly because this one wraps up so quickly at the end. Like, I got to maybe 7 pages out from the end and it hadn't really gotten its fairy tale happy ending yet, so it happened in the very last few pages, whereas I would have liked to see more of what happened after that, but I can only assume that's for the next book, hopefully. I can only assume that she's writing more books in this series because, again, I really love them and I like her writing. It's definitely fantasy fulfillment, and it's not the last book that I'm going to talk about in this wrap-up where somebody from America falls in love with somebody from the UK who happens to be a royal. The first book I listened to this week was With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevado, as read by the author, and this book physically is a beautiful thing, and then also is just a beautiful thing in general. This story was absolutely lovely. It made me very hungry. It made me wish that I knew how to cook, because then I could actually make the recipes that were in the book. And it's mostly recipes because it's not proper measurements, and I would mess it up without proper measurements. This book is about Imani. She's a senior in high school, and she happens to have a small toddler as a daughter because she got pregnant when she was 14 years old. She's not still with the father of her child. She actually got pregnant within the first couple of times of ever having sex. And because her mother died due to complications of her birth, she was actually raised by her grandmother because her father basically pieced out. It was absolutely no surprise to me that I enjoyed this book, given I absolutely loved The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevado, which I still haven't listened to on audio because my library still doesn't have it, but I listened to this one on audio and her voice is beautiful. There were several things about this story that made me happy, just the fact that she has always had to put other people first and trying to put herself first in things, her figuring out what she actually wants to do with her life. The talk about consent in this book was very important. There's even a point, and mild spoilers here, where, you know, somebody's first time having sex could be this super romantic thing in a different country, but it doesn't happen because they're not both ready, and that's completely fine. I enjoyed the food, the characters, the dynamics between the characters, the adventure of it, everything. All of the social commentary, beautiful. And then the last book I listened to was a reread for me, and that was Red, White, and Royal Blue by McQuiston, which was a reread for me because I read the ARC back in February or March, and now I was listening to the audiobook because it was available from my library, and I love these boys, I love these girls, I love these people, I loved all of it. There was a large section of this that I just listened to while I was sitting in the kitchen with my mom and she was doing something else, and I kept laughing to myself and she kept looking at me. And I was just like, this book is very funny, Mom. I tried to get her to get the book from her library as well, and she looked it up and her library doesn't have it as an audiobook, so maybe she'll end up reading it as an ebook. Who knows? I'm very excited. Then later that night there was another thunderstorm, and I was just laying on the couch listening to the rain with one ear and listening to this with the other and just watching the thunderstorm, and it's the first time since 2004 when I was in Moscow, Russia, that I saw sheet lightning, and it was fantastic. I'm sure I don't need to hype this book any more than it's already been hyped. I obviously love it. It's my favorite book so far this year. I just talked about it in my most recent tag. I talked about it at length when I did my wrap-up for it. It's a hate-to-love romance between the first son of the United States and the Prince of England, and it's just so sexy, so beautiful. These people love each other so much, and I just adore it. While I was doing this reread, I just really wanted to own a History Huh t-shirt. In fact, my friend McKinley has a beautiful History Huh tattoo, which I am just obsessed with. I kind of want one. So that's it for this week. Have you read, watched, or listened to any of these? Let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon, assuming I don't get struck by lightning. Bye. This is honestly just the most peaceful sound in the universe. You can fight me on it, but you're gonna lose because I'm right. Now that I'm done filming this video, I think I'm just gonna stay out here and read a book on my phone. That's happening.